all you cinema buffs out there. Dennis and Nate bringing you our review of Fate of the Furious. So this is the 8th installment in the Fast and the Furious franchise. You and I just both watched the 7th, so we got a little caught up on the plot.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it. What'd you think? What did you like about the movie?
I really enjoyed the 7th one. And the thing, when we watched the first one, like the ridiculousness and just like the kind of like turn off your brain, have fun, it's an action movie. They totally embrace it with these later installments. Yeah. And it still works. It's still just as much fun.
Yeah.
And I think that like they did a good job with blending. Something I really appreciate about this, they blended special effects, the practical effects, with CGI.
Yeah.
Like the close-up shots, it was like real cars smashing into each other. And the Y, that's when they brought the CGI, but you could mask it where it still looked really good.
And that's the way to do it. I mean, especially with special effects. And yeah, these movies have seemed to get more fun every installment they go. I mean, this was a really fun ride. And, you know, there's two sides of every coin. And with the whole turn your brain off and just enjoy a movie, that's hard for me to agree with, but I feel like the Furious movies are just like cut above the rest. They're just, you can turn your brain off, and this is really well executed action, and this one is no consolation. I thought this action movie was really fun through and through.
Yeah, and with the whole turn your brain off, like even those moments where you just have to pick it out, like there's something ridiculous happening. Like at one point, they shield a character from a fire blast with the cars.
Yeah.
And it's like completely ridiculous. That would never work. But you just kind of embrace it and like understand the movie you're watching. And I think that it did it with the first scene.
Yeah.
Like with the opening scene, like it showed you like how ridiculous, how fun this movie is going to be, and like what you can expect from the action.
Yeah.
And so like I think that if you go to this movie and you're not invested after that first scene, you're not going to like the movie.
One thing that this movie benefits over the 7th, which I did enjoy the 7th, but it was a little disjointed because of the passing of Paul Walker, and they had to really improvise with that. And I felt like this one was just a little bit tighter with its characters, either like sharing the screen time with the characters. I felt like every character got their moment to shine.
Yeah.
And also I feel like just the pacing and the coherent story was a little bit more there.
Sometimes when there's movies where they have like two kind of plot lines, you know, where they go back and forth, it's kind of the mentality of like, well, two half movies equals a whole, and I don't believe that's true.
Right.
But like with this movie, no, the two separate plot lines, they did a good job making good cohesion with the two of them.
Yeah.
And so it was good. Like, you know, one scene reacted to the other. It was good cause and effect. So they jump back and forth, but they did a good job of keeping it all one story.
Yep. And another thing that it benefits from is there's more Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it, and that's what you want. In the 7th one, he was a little bit shortchanged because they just sort of threw him in at the beginning, a little bit at the end, but the whole, you know, majority of the movie didn't have him. In this one, he is in the entire thing, and it is awesome through and through.
Yeah, he is like the big action star of our era, and he's got just a little bit of that, like, I mean, we grew up in that era of like the 80s cheesy action star.
Yeah.
And he has those great one-liners. He's just this giant hulking man beast, just overpowering everyone. Not only did I really like The Rock in this one, I love Jason Statham in this one too.
Me too.
There's this fight scene that he has at some point in the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just so well crafted, and
it's funny and endearing.
Right. I mean, like I said, you just gotta embrace the ridiculousness of this movie. Like at one point, there's a character fighting guys with a baby in a baby carriage like, in tow.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can't get into that, then, you know, you're not going to like this movie.
I know. The movie all around kind of surprised me, and as the Fast and the Furious genre and Fast and the Furious movies do, even like Jason Statham's character from going to a bad guy to a good guy was a pretty solid transition. You kind of believed it, and you kind of just went with it. I liked his transition with working with the team. You know? It had tension and necessary comedic dialogue and things like that. Also, I have to just throw out that I really like Tyrese in this movie. Tyrese was funny, man. He had a lot of moments that I felt like he stole the show a lot.
Tyrese, I mean, for me, I think he was really hit or miss with his comedy in this one. Yeah, like, I would say for every joke that I laughed at, there was another one like I kind of groaned or rolled my eyes at.
There was once or twice that it was sort of like, ooh, that was a little misplaced. Like, that didn't quite land. And this time it's Charlize Theron playing the villain. So, what'd you think of her villainous role in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, Charlize Theron is a fantastic actress. Just about anything she's in, I love.
I think so too. I think that this one did feel like the stakes were high. She did have a catalyst as to why this was all happening enough. For her reasons for everything was pretty generic, I guess. It was just sort of like, you know, power.
Power mad.
Yeah, power mad, whatever. But I did like her, and Charlize Theron, she can't really do any wrong. She, like, can kind of, not float through these roles, but she she's such a good actress. This is not too difficult for her to achieve.
No, it's right in her wheelhouse, and it's great to see her, from one big action movie where she's the hero, one big action movie where she's the villain, so show out that versatility.
So we talked about a lot of what we liked. What did you not like?
Yeah, like I already had my complaints about, Tyrese's humor here and there. And like I said, I really liked how the story, flowed in from one to the other, but there were a few pacing issues.
Yeah.
It's just like any of these, these 2+ hour action movies, they kind of have that little bit of drag in the middle.
Yeah.
Where it's just like they're fleshing out the exposition, they're trying to build the stakes up to the big finale. Which I get they have to do, but it's just sometimes I feel like they could do it a little bit more briskly.
Yep, I agree. This did have a few parts where I was just like, okay, push it along. Come on, where's the next set piece? Where's the next action? One thing that was a little different is that I really enjoyed the second half better than the first. In the middle, there was a little bit of a lull, but like after that happens, the second half was balls to the wall for me. The first half was good, but I'm like, are they going to be able to top their previous installments and some of the crazy action that they've already pulled off? And I felt like the second half they really delivered at the end, and I just was glad. I didn't like that Furious 7 took place at night. I don't know what it is, but the ending, I didn't like that it was this nighttime, hard to really grasp what was happening. And in this, I liked that it was like this daytime and this really, really cold setting that you never really see in these movies. I felt like the dialogue just wasn't as tight, and also it went a little more serious route where the cheese sometimes didn't feel like it fit.
Right, and I think that's like where those Tyrese jokes that didn't really land for me came in. Like, It didn't fit the tone of the scene or what was going on in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I also think that with the dialogue, and you mentioned James Wan and how he crafts the dialogue. Also, these great things that James Wan does with the camera. I felt like F. Gary Gray was trying to steal it and rip it off, and it just didn't look as smooth,
No, you're right.
Buffs. All right, Nate. So we gave our thoughts. We both had a good time, but why don't you go ahead and put a number on it?
Yeah, I used to be kind of a naysayer when it comes to the Fast and Furious movies, but I'm sort of turning over a new leaf. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the 7th, and I'm kind of wanting to go back and watch the 6th and the 5th. I kind of am grasping really what they're trying to do here, and they're embracing their cheesiness. They're embracing what the Fast and the Furious franchise is, and I liked it way more than I thought I would. I'm going pretty high. I'm going 8 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
I like this movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, this is like one of those franchises. Like, I was always wondering, like, how are they so successful? And of course, it was one of those things where I didn't know until I experienced it. And, if that's one of the big messages from cinema buffs, it's you're not going to know anything about a movie until you go experience it.
Totally.
So I'm glad that I've started to watch these movies, and I'm right there with you. I'm going to dive back into the franchise and go back and see the ones. I want to see how The Rock came to be, how he came to be.
Yeah.
And I had a great time. I'm just going to go a shade lower than you. I'm going to give this one a 7.5.
Nice.
All right, so that's it for our review of Fate of the Furious. What'd you guys think? Is this the best installment yet? Go ahead and leave your comments down below. And thanks again for watching, guys. To check out more reviews, check out the videos below. And to become a cinema buff and see every review, click the logo on your left to subscribe. But don't you forget,
there's no place like the theater.